I'm almost never like fully confident because I'm constantly growing and finding new ways to challenge myself. And I think that's what keeps me on my toes, because when we get confident, we get comfortable. What's up, guys? Welcome back to XV Life channel. I'm Chris Hinckley, and this is my best friend, business partner, Weston Ritchie. We're talking about an episode series called Stop Living in Survival Mode. And today specifically, we're talking about the backpack you never took off. So what does that mean? Well, I feel like, and we feel like in life, we have these backpacks on that we put on when we're born. And over our lives, we constantly fill them up with things. And maybe over time, we forget about these things and they get shoved to the bottom and they're really heavy. And over time, it just becomes this thing that's holding you back. And you can't run, you can't walk, and you've got knee pain and you got hip pain and back pain. And just like us walking through the airports with our camera bags is like, we're just hurt at the end of the day and we can't keep going. So the backpack you never took off. Weston, what does that mean to you?
That means everything to me. One of my big things is just let it go. I've lived most of my life holding on to so much pain and so much anger. And the way that I think about it as a backpack is also chains, and when I was younger, I had a chain on my right hand, a chain on my left. And, I was pulled in all these directions, but I could never move. Right. And I think the backpack's kind of the same way. Is instead of being stuck, you're just completely breaking yourself down. And over time, you realize I can't keep doing this, and when you put stuff in the backpack, like you're saying, imagine putting a 50-pound dumbbell in there and just carrying around everywhere you go. Right. And so I like to think of those dumbbells as specific words. For me, example, mine would be bitterness. I'm carrying 50 pounds of bitterness in my body, on my back, that's causing me pain. It's causing me damage, until one day I decided I was going to go in that backpack and I was going to go through the hard stuff and I was going to grab that dumbbell and I'm going to drop it off the cliff. I'm done. I'm over this. There's no more bitterness in my body. There's no more bitterness towards my relationships, my family, my ex-relationships. And then I started moving freely, and I started moving and I felt like I was floating in a way, because you've been carrying this weight for so long that finally you're just able to move. You're able to breathe. And so for me, my word would be bitterness, right? I had to let go of that 50-pound dumbbell. Chris, what do you think your dumbbell is? What's the one word you feel like you had growing up in that backpack?
I think it's the opposite of confidence, whatever that is.
What is that?
I don't know. I have to get on Google after this, but yeah, it's a lack of confidence. Like, I don't know the word for that, but that was the biggest weight I carried around, is like, I'm not enough. Maybe that's a better way to put it.
So describe that. Just imagine that dumbbell. I'm not enough. It's in the bag. How did it affect you?
Well, like I said, it just created a lot of self-doubt inside of me, because, I'd get into social environments and feel really awkward and not really know how to speak or be funny or connect with people. Or, younger, I was a chubbier kid. So, when we go to the pool and swim, like, I don't look like everyone else. And a lot of times I wore a t-shirt to swim, right? I was that kind of kid. And so I think it just wears you down over time, to where you say all these negative things to yourself and then you start believing them and they actually become real. And I think that a lot of people go through this same situation because, one, like, being a kid is hard and kids are pretty brutal. So for me, I wasn't really picked on, but everything that I thought people were thinking about me, I was speaking to myself. And so that is where I struggled a lot. And that was my 50-pound dumbbell that I was carrying around. And I think that's really what held me back from really growing as a kid. I was more so in that survival mode that we talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit something right on the nail, dude. It was just, kids are brutal,
Yeah.
and you said something else that just kind of struck me for a second. It's like, we think people are thinking these things about us, but yet we're the only ones thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the damaging part, because it kind of you saw it on my face. I checked out for a second because I'm like, this reminded me of something.
Yeah, I can see it.
Right. And it's like, imagine as a kid going and, putting a bunch of nails in a fence. Imagine covering the whole fence. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, somebody's like, hey, go take out all the nails. And you're like, why? I just put all these nails in.
Tearing that motherfucker down.
Yeah. And you think about it and you're like, man, all these nails, man, now I got to pull them all out. All this time, all this energy, all this effort. And then you finally take the nails out. What's the fence look like? A bunch of holes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just go back and fill those holes. Those holes are there. And that's what I think what kind of struck me with what you said is all those negative holes that you gave about yourself, you kept looking for things to fill it.
Mm.
And that's so hard to do when you don't have confidence and you can't let go of those things. And then what happens? It creates bitterness. It
Yeah.
creates anger, right? It just develops that I'm not good enough because I'm a bunch of holes. And so it's really hard to transition into that next phase of your life going, I got to patch these up, but no one else can do it but me.
Right.
And I think that's something that, people don't give credit to. Like for what you've had to go through in your life to get to where you are on your own 2 feet, I don't think people really know. And I don't think they care to know.
No, it's fine
But at
too.
the end of the day, it's for you anyway.
Right. It's not for them.
And so it's like, Chris, how would you help people at that younger Chris? How would you help them kind of patch those holes that they felt like they couldn't fill?
So I always wanted to be older and I wanted to have control of my life. So I would imagine myself at, 18 to 30, whatever age I felt comfortable with. Chris is now jacked. Chris is now shredded. Chris has the confidence. He has a career or a dream. He has a life that he loves and he has the freedom to do what he wants. And I would picture this version of myself. And I'd be like, well, if I knew I was getting there and future self talked to me looking like that, being like that, smiling on his face, like, and he told me all I needed to do is stay consistent in the things I know I need to do, I would do it. Right? When you know it's going to happen, you'll put in the work. But when you have that unknown question mark and you don't really believe it and you don't buy into it, it's not going to happen then.
Well, it's just doubt creeping in.
It
And
is.
no matter how confident you are, no matter what you have, there's doubts sometimes that fall into our hands and our mind, right? And it's the only way to get that doubt out is repetition and doing the hard shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we've learned, inside of the process of fixing those patches or those holes. To me, like you have a really good point. I think for me specifically, I had to identify people because people did really help me patch up some of these holes. Like you're an example in my life that, between you and y'all truly believed in me. And I'm not talking like, kind of like Weston's going to maybe do that. Like there's two people that changed my life in that space. And it's you and Ewan. To where I finally got enough, out loud voices, out loud words to go, okay, if they think this about me, I have to think this about me. And that affected me hardcore because why can't I feel like that towards myself? If these amazing people that I look up to can tell me that I'm great or tell me that I'm going to do big things, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And just over time, it helped, right? Like as a kid, sticks and stones don't break your bones, right? Or whatever the saying is, but
Yeah.
words will never kill me. No, those things killed me. And it wasn't necessarily from kids at my school. It was, your friends, your family, your brother, your sister. Those things do hurt. They do kill you. And they can just completely make you negative for a long time until you finally either separate and be around, for me personally, be around people that finally lifted me up instead of put me down.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing to remember in the inside of this series is just you have to develop that discipline and you have to get advice from people that actually care about you, not people that constantly put you down because they're looking in the mirror not mad with the decisions they made in their life.
Yeah. It's crazy what like one conversation can do for you. And I'm sure we've had these moments because like we've met people in life that we look up to and we get positive feedback, right? And I won't name any names, but like some pretty big influential people that we've looked up to for a long time have told us like, man, you guys are awesome. What y'all are building is incredible and I've never seen anything like it. Like that gives us so much confidence, even though we've probably had like 3 conversations with that person. And think about how many, like flip the roles, how many people have been impacted by one conversation with us.
I know. I don't even know.
And I'm not saying that to like toot our own horns. I'm just saying like these are moments that happen all throughout your life. So like if you're not this big human who's had this crazy career or an insane story, you might still have these like conversations with people that change the trajectory of their entire life by something very, very small.
Well, the small thing comes back to this whole series,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I take one thing out of your backpack because I love you, someone else comes into your life and takes one thing out of your backpack because they love you, your backpack gets lighter.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's all we've tried to do is just continue to give It's not necessarily, this is the one time I would say we take things from people, right? We don't take actual things that, affect their life in a negative way. It's more of a, hey, we're going to take this out so we can show you something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of important to communicate on. So like, as we think about, the backpack, Chris, what's the conclusion here with this series?
The conclusion is identify what's in your backpack and what's weighing you down. Like, what is the 1 or 3 words you feel like you can identify to those 50-pound dumbbells? So that once you figure it out, like what needs to come out first. So what's the biggest thing that's weighing you down? Like, you're running a race, you got a parachute on your back. What needs to come off your back? The parachute.
Right.
So you got to find your parachute. You got to find that weight that's holding you down, and try to figure out a way to remove it. If it's people, like limiting the interactions you have with them. If it's, food, right? Like, try and create some structure around like how much you eat, track your macros, right? Like, it could be anything. So find that weight, that word, like you said, that's on your dumbbells, and figure out which is the heaviest one first.
I love it. And I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to people listening. I think the one big word is commitment, right? When we do something, we commit to it.
Yeah.
There's no half-assing. It's 100 miles an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing right now, Chris, for you specifically, and I'm going to speak this as well. What's one thing you would commit to taking one thing out of your bag? What would be the one thing right now?
I don't know. I constantly try to fill my bag. So that's a hard question for me.
It is. It's very hard,
because
right?
I like the challenge.
Right. And I think it's just, that also comes back to, do you feel like you're 100% confident now? Does that ever creep back in?
It's weird because like I get confident about things that I do on a daily, and then I fill it with new things. So I'm almost never like fully confident because I'm constantly growing and finding new ways to challenge myself. And I think that's what keeps me on my toes, because when we get confident, we get comfortable, right? In a lot of instances.
Can you say that for one more time, Chris?
When
That's a bar.
When we get confident, a lot of times we get comfortable. Because we sit in that confidence, we don't try to grow or bring on new challenges. And that's what we focus on. So like, do I have 100% confidence in everything we do? No. Like, just sitting here filming content, like, am I fully confident when we stop recording these every day? No. But when I see it in post-production, I'm like, that's a bar.
I did good today.
I did all right. I did all right today. So
I love that. I love that quote. I'm going to make sure I get that right. What's the quote again?
Confidence creates comfort. No, wait.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to watch that back. I don't even remember my own quote.
Confidence creates comfort.
Yeah.
I think it's something like you said, right? And I just want to think about that too, is, things that break get revealed. And I think that's kind of the same thing, is like when you finally put yourself in that uncomfortable position, you can see your weak spots. You can see where you need to grow. And I think that's the challenge here, is you do have to take those things out of your backpack. And then you also have to put things in your backpack to test yourself, to figure out if you are confident again, or if you're good enough, or if you're still angry or you're bitter, So I think my word that I want to commit to, that I want to continue to just take out of my backpack, and I want to take one thing out, which is bitterness still. As much as I want to pretend like I don't have some of that, sometimes it pops up, right? And the other thing I want to add in is grace. And I know that's one you for sure want to add in as well. So if you're listening to this, find one thing that you want to commit to this year, that you want to take out and also put in your bag, challenge you, right, to get out of your comfort zone and develop a new version of yourself. So this is an amazing series, and I can't remember the name of the topic, but it doesn't matter because y'all have heard it at the beginning, and we're going to move on to the next one. Chris, you got anything else to say?
Commitment. Commit to whatever you tend to do in life.
Commit, subscribe, comment, drop below where you are with your life, and comment the one word that you're going to commit to. We'll catch you on the next one.